Ayo, what is up my G's, and welcome back to another video. It's your boy Tyler G Plays here, and we're back with the Hall of Fame series. It's time for another Hall of Fame inductee, and to those of you who are new here or didn't watch the first Hall of Fame video, this series is pretty much a character spotlight series where I induct fighting game characters into my own fighting game character Hall of Fame. These videos will cover the background and backstory of characters, the gameplay history, and the legacy and media appearances of each character, along with including an edited inductee video showing off the character's personality, moves, combos, story, just really a bit of everything, similar to what the WWE does with their inductee videos. Also, to those who don't know, these are the requirements for a character to be eligible for my Hall of Fame. They must be in at least 3 different fighting games. Now, there will be some exceptions, as some characters I feel like are Hall of Fame worthy have only been in a handful of games, but for the most part, characters need to be at least 3 different fighting games. They must be popular or have some sort of legacy within the FGC or gaming community as a whole. So, pretty much the characters have to have a legacy and have to be popular, similar to what the WWE does with their Hall of Fame, or pretty much any Hall of Fame, really. Like, they have to be legendary, pretty much, or have some sort of legacy. Now, it doesn't have to be the gaming community as a whole, but at least within the FGC or fighting game space. 4th rule, the characters must be originally from a fighting game or at least well known for fighting games. And the 4th and final rule, no characters from super big IPs. So that includes no Marvel characters, no Nintendo characters, no anime characters, etc. So I know Wolverine, Storm, Magneto are very popular in the Marvel vs. Capcom series, but they're more known for Marvel Comics and the Marvel IP, so I can't count them. Or like for anime, I know a character like Goku has been in a lot, and I mean a lot of fighting games, because there's a lot of Dragon Ball fighting games and Shonen Jump fighting games, but he's not really known for fighting games, he's known for being a Dragon Ball character. So I really wouldn't feel right inducting a character like that. That's why that's a rule. Alright, now that we're caught up with the rules and everything, let's get into this inductee. I'm not going to spend too much time yapping. You read the title, it's probably no surprise. This is the second ever inductee into my Fighting Game Character Hall of Fame, the First Lady of Fighting Games. Roll the inductee video. Yeah, so I think it's no surprise I was going to induct Chun-Li pretty shortly after Ryu and pretty shortly into the series. And I think it's no surprise that she was definitely going to be my first woman inducted into this Hall of Fame as well. And honestly, I feel like her being the second inductee into this is pretty fitting and deserved. Dubbed the First Lady of Fighting Games and an absolutely legendary character, her influence on both the FGC and the gaming community as a whole has been felt for decades. Literal decades. Hell, Chun-Li is just one of those characters that everyone knows. Like, I personally know people who don't know really anything about video games or don't play video games, but even they can recognize Chun-Li. She is just legendary. Their first woman of fighting games and a huge fan favorite Street Fighter character, she has both the legacy and influence to back up her legend status, and I don't think there's no denying that. Now, enough yapping, let's explore the backstory of the First Lady of Fighting Games and one of the best Street Fighter characters probably ever. At a young age, Chun-Li became fascinated and interested in martial arts after watching her first classical Chinese play in the form of a Peking opera, which combines musical movements, martial arts, dance, and stuff like that just made her fascinated with martial arts and the way they moved. and because of this, she decided to start learning Tai Chi at the age of 5. Shortly after, her father began teaching her Hao along with various other exercises from then on that helped her skills improve. With the teachings of her father, along with her being interested in various martial arts, she ended up creating her own style of fighting. At the age of 18, Chun-Li became a detective in hopes of finding her missing father. This eventually led to her following in her father's footsteps, and she became a narcotics investigator at the ICPO, also known as Interpol, and was working as the organization's anti-Shadaloo investigator. Now, onto the Street Fighter Alpha series for Chun-Li. Street Fighter Alpha series was actually canonically the first series of games within the Street Fighter universe. But quick note before talking about Chun-Li's Street Fighter Alpha series background, I will not be covering Street Fighter Alpha 1, as Street Fighter Alpha 2 completely retcons her Street Fighter Alpha 1 ending and story. Alright, now with that being said, Chun-Li during the events of Street Fighter Alpha was searching for clues and evidence related to the disappearance of her father. She eventually runs into an old teacher of hers and a friend of her father, Gen. Gen and Chun-Li have a friendly fight, after which Gen gives Chun-Li a lead on who may be responsible for her father's disappearance, which was Shadaloo. She eventually tracks down the leader of the crime syndicate, M. Bison, and demands he tells her what happened to her father. To her surprise, Bison fights her and defeats her very quickly, and after which he retreats to his jet in the sky. Although before leaving, he reveals that he killed Chun-Li's father and threatens her, stating that if she ever comes after him, he'll kill her just like he did her father. Later at the China branch Interpol headquarters, Chun-Li is appointed special investigator of Shadaloo. With this, Chun-Li swore vengeance with tears in her eyes, and she also swore those would be the last tears she would ever shed. Now, during Street Fighter Alpha 3, Chun-Li is teamed with U.S. Air Force member named Charlie Nash to try and track down Shadaloo. As M. Bison and Shadaloo's plans also caught the eye of the United States military, Chun-Li also runs into Guile, Charlie's friend and lieutenant. Upon learning that Guile also had a mission against Bison to stop Bison, they all went to Thailand. After learning that Bison tricked the Air Force into canceling the planned bombing of the main Shadaloo base, Chun-Li rushes over to Charlie and Guile and informs them how to destroy the bases themselves. So with that, Chun-Li, Charlie, and Guile proceeded to the Shadaloo base located in Thailand to plant bombs around the base as Charlie and Guile headed inside to destroy the Psycho Drive. But that's when Guile came rushing out, grabbing Chun-Li and telling her Charlie had urged both of them to get away. During this, Ryu was actually fighting Bison as Chun-Li and Guile were escaping. Along the way, Chun-Li saw a young girl escaping with several others, and that young girl was actually Cammy White. And Cammy and Chun-Li from this point forward would actually go on to have a very close, deep friendship, as seen in the later games, and even crossover games. It's very apparent that they became very, very close, and you can probably even say best friends. Chun-Li eventually found Ryu, and her, Ryu, Guile, and Cammy all escaped together. Later, Guile told her that Charlie was inside the Shadaloo base during the explosion, marking his apparent death in the process. Despite being distraught over the lack of evidence to prove Shadaloo's crimes, Chun-Li managed to shut down the operations of the Shadaloo evil empire. Or at least she thought. During the events of Street Fighter 2, Chun-Li actually receives an invitation for the Second World Warrior Tournament and discovers that Bison had apparently survived the Thailand's base destruction. Learning that information, she had a clear motive of destroying Shadaloo and avenging her father once again. During the tournament, Chun-Li and her allies managed to reach Bison and engage him in combat that reaches the forest. During their fight with Bison, they managed to overpower the Shadaloo dictator, with Chun-Li delivering the decisive blow to M. Bison with a powerful Konkosho that destroyed part of the forest. When Guile urges Bison to surrender, Bison refuses and instead commits suicide by using all of his psycho power to make a huge explosion that blasted everyone away. Fortunately, it didn't kill Chun-Li and the other fighters who attempted to stop the dictator. With Bison's apparent suicide, the government concluded that Bison and the other bosses had also died, despite no evidence being shown to prove that actually happened. After the tournament and these events, Chun-Li visited her father's grave, praying to him that his death had been avenged. With the defeat of Bison, it wouldn't be long till Shadaloo eventually collapsed. During the events of pre-Street Fighter 4, so really right before Street Fighter 4, in between events of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 4, Chun-Li is living her life as a young single girl, keeping herself busy by working at an eatery or by traveling. She reminisces the memories and the fights that took place during Street Fighter 2. She admits to herself the life she expected wasn't all she imagined it to be. Chun-Li's inner strength reawakens as she finds herself back into action, presumably continue tracking down Shadaloo's movement, M. Bison, and the SIN organization. Shortly after, she goes back into action, and after the fall of Shadowloo, she is sent to the theme park alongside Cammy and Guile to stop the rampage of an operative of SIN by the name of Juri Han. Chun-Li reaches Juri just as she executes a rogue SIN agent. Chun-Li and Juri then begins a fight in which Chun-Li actually struggles to get any significant hits in. During the fight, Juri takes advantage of Chun-Li as Chun-Li is distracted by a little boy whose mother was injured by Juri's attack. Juri rushes in with a kick to Chun-Li, blasting her into a wall before crashing to the ground. But before Juri could execute her, she's forced to flee when Guile and Cammy arrive due to her artificial eye malfunctioning. Injured and losing consciousness, Chun-Li mentions to Cammy about the little boy and his mother. Chun-Li is hospitalized with multiple injuries all over her body. But upon recovery, Chun-Li is back to investigating Juri and her connections to SIN on a laptop from her hospital bed. Guile and Cammy go to confront Juri while Chun-Li monitors the SIN base and movements, but they are unable to apprehend Juri Han as Guile later informs Chun-Li. Now, during the events of Street Fighter 4 series, she returns to Interpol and teams up with Guile and Cammy to take down SIN and discover what's really happened to M. Bison. After she recovers from being defeated by Juri Han, she enters the new international fighting tournament to take down SIN once and for all. On her way, she is approached by Abel, who is searching for any leads on the Shadowloo organization. During the tournament, she also pursues Gen, who is also participating, for more answers about her father's death. Gen refuses and she is unable to force him though. She then confronts Sea Viper and almost blows her cover because Viper was impeding her investigation. Later, she encounters Juri once more. Although she was able to defeat her, she is unable to bring her into custody. Infiltrating the SIN facility, she is trapped when Vega activates the base's self-destruct sequence. She is protected from the ensuing collapse by Gen, and is eventually rescued by Guile and Abel. Now, moving on to the events of Street Fighter V, Chun-Li was actually heavily involved with Street Fighter V and the main story, so this part's going to take a minute. During Street Fighter V, Chun-Li teams up with Guile in his investigation about the blackout in New York due to the activation of the Black Moons. When she and Guile confronts M. Bison along with the other Heavenly Kings, she recklessly fights against Bison over her vendetta. Although thanks to the Black Moons powering him up, he easily defeats Chun-Li. As Guile struggles to fight off Vega, M. Bison prepares for the finishing blow to Chun-Li, but Cammy comes in to save her just in time. Cammy helps an injured Chun-Li retreat with Guile. Later that evening, Cammy, Chun-Li, and Guile discuss the possible connections of the missing hackers with the Shadowloo keys. Cammy delivers a package to Chun-Li containing one of the pieces, but all three are surprised with the sight of Charlie Mash. Guile goes to confront him, leaving Chun-Li and Cammy alone with Rashid and Zazam. As Rashid talks, he catches Chun-Li's attention before taking on an offensive stance. Rashid fights Chun-Li for her piece. Still injured and wore out from her battle against Bison earlier, she is defeated by Rashid. The star-shaped key flies off her as she is kicked away. Rashid retreats with Chun-Li's piece before she can get to her feet. Chun-Li is enlisted by Karen Konzuki and finds out the pieces are actually keys to the Black Moons and to stopping Shadowloo's plan. She teams up with Ken Masters and Cammy to find Laura in Brazil, Sean's older sister. Once Ken fights off Fong, Chun-Li recognizes Sean as being part of the Masuda family and questions him about the piece he received, which he gave to Laura. After Ken spars with Laura and gets the piece, DeCapre lingers to him and falls unconscious. The police show up and to arrest DeCapre. Ken and Chun-Li try to defuse the situation, but Cammy attacks the officers to protect DeCapre and escapes with Juri on her motorcycle. Branding herself as well as DeCapre as fugitives. As Juri rides off with Cammy and the unconscious DeCapre, Ken and Laura hold off an oncoming wave of Shadowloo soldiers as Chun-Li rushes off to the Shadowloo base. In their first infiltration of Shadowloo, Chun-Li is quickly ambushed by Shadowloo soldiers, but Dalsum teleports in and knocks out each one of them. Dalsum hands Chun-Li a Black Moon piece as she rushes into the base, leaving Dalsum to handle a second wave of soldiers. While inside, she finds Li Fin, one of the kidnapped hackers who is also a very young child. She then invites the little girl to escape with her, but Li Fin is hesitant to join her as she runs away, still having a mission she needs to fulfill. Chun-Li meets up at the control panel with Karin, as both ladies break down a steel door to get there. Fong catches up to them in time, but Karin holds him off long enough for Chun-Li to successfully shut down the Black Moons. Fong retreats, but not before promising one last trick up his sleeve. Abel, who was working as an inside man in the Shadowloo organization, meets up with Karin and Chun-Li. Meanwhile, Fong uses Li Fin to activate the descent program, in which the Black Moons will drop from orbit and will explode upon impact, causing worldwide destruction, chaos, and fatalities. The descent program also triggered Psycho Power and Abel, causing him to lose control of his body in a rage. Chun-Li and Karin escape from the base, and Zangief appears out of the sky to help Abel, hitting him with a spinning pile driver to knock him unconscious. Chun-Li boards the escape chopper with Karin and the rest of the fighters, including Nash, as they retreat from the Shadowloo base. While regrouping at the Kanzuki estate, Nash and Guile help Abel by Nash siphoning all the psycho power out of him. Chun-Li checks on Abel as Nash, Rashid, and Azam leave back to their home base. Ryu appears after defeating Nakali, and Chun-Li is happy to see him, as he joins them to help make a final assault against Shadowloo. Upon second arrival, Chun-Li and the rest of the fighters leap out of the helicopter and descend into the Shadowloo base, where a massive fight between Karin's forces and Shadowloo soldiers breaks out, each one of the World Warriors holding their own. Chun-Li fights off a few guards before noticing the Shadowloo dolls joining the fight, all powered up from the Black Moons. Karin intercepts a Nero as Chun-Li rushes into the heart of the base with Guile and Ryu. As Rashid successfully aborts the descent program, Ryu, Chun-Li, and Guile find M. Bison. But before Chun-Li could rush into battle, she notices a terrified Li Fin still captive. Nash is the first to fight M. Bison, but realizing he was still too strong, Nash sacrifices himself by absorbing as much M. Bison's excess psycho power as he can, in an effort to weaken the powerful dictator before self-destructing. Chun-Li and Guile can only helplessly watch as Charlie performs his final sacrifice. She stops Guile from nearing the blast as Nash sacrifices himself, but when the dust settles, M. Bison still stands tall, stepping on Charlie's dog tags. Chun-Li and Guile sense that M. Bison's power was weakened though. Surviving the attackment to kill him, Fong shows up and in a rage rushes over to Chun-Li, swinging his poisoned hands as she invades and parries his strikes. Fong then turns his attention to Li Fin, but before he can kill the small child, Chun-Li saves her by attacking and knocking down Fong. Chun-Li comforts Li Fin for being brave as she hugs the trembling, terrified girl. Chun-Li then looks back and sees Fong slowly recovering. She tells Ryu to take care of M. Bison while fighting off Fong. To succumb to his rage, Chun-Li easily defeats Fong. After Ryu ultimately defeats Bison, they escape the base with Li Fin and Guile. Chun-Li hesitates for a moment, looking back at M. Bison's cap. An expression of both relief and anxiousness bestows on her face as years of avenging her father seemingly comes to a close. But in doing so, Chun-Li and Li Fin fall behind, and Chun-Li has to sprint to catch up to them, carrying Li Fin in her arms and avoiding falling debris in the process. When the blast starts catching up, Ryu throws its engine Hadouken to stop the fires from exploding around Chun-Li and Li Fin to escape. As the Shadowloo base crumbles and is buried beneath roaring lava, Chun-Li barely manages to escape the base, carrying Li Fin on her back with Ryu and Guile right beside her. Now, after the events of the main story and after saving Li Fin from the Shadowloo base, Li Fin stumbles upon Chun-Li's hair ribbons, relics from her old days as a rookie cop. As memories flood back, Chun-Li finds herself recounting the experiences of her past, and a flashback begins of an event that happened before the Alpha series. Now, this is before the Alpha series, but I'm covering it in the Street Fighter V section as it is in Chun-Li's Street Fighter V character story. Chun-Li begins having a flashback of a mission she was on to track down and apprehend Vega. When she finds Vega, he makes a comment on Chun-Li's kicks and draws a connection to someone else that mastered that same martial art. Chun-Li realizes he is talking about her father. She seizes the opportunity to get more info about him, and a fight between the two begins. As the fight goes on, Vega manages to get a cut on her arm before retreating. While following the lead to find him again, she finds herself in Russia, where she crosses paths with Charlie, Nash, and Guile, who notice her desperation. Nash challenges her to a sparring match in order to assess her readiness. To her surprise, Nash emerges as victor. Guile seizes the moment to acknowledge her determination and suggests that if she locates Vega, both he and Nash should accompany her. Returning to China, they locate Vega, who is accompanied by a group of Shadowloo soldiers and Birdie. As Guile and Nash engage in a fierce battle against the attackers, Chun-Li once again confronts Vega. After a grueling fight, she finally manages to overpower him, intending to arrest him for further questioning. However, Vega manages to escape aboard a helicopter, vowing that their paths will cross again. He also reveals that he possesses information regarding her father's death. Looking back on the encounter, she realizes the importance of not venturing alone and expresses her gratitude to Guile and Charlie for their support. Now, with the flashback over and now back in the present, Chun-Li affectionately adorns Li Fin's ox horns with these ribbons. Li Fin wishes to be just as strong as Chun-Li, and they start training. During the events of Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, Chun-Li finally makes her peace and retires from street fighting to teach martial arts to orphans while still doing police work. Urian kidnaps Li Fin for his scientific projects, which prompts Chun-Li to go out in the world again and find her. She challenges him once she finds him and gets Li Fin back. After she saves Li Fin, she goes back to China with her and she goes back to teaching martial arts to young students. By the events of Street Fighter 6, Chun-Li is a former ICPO agent that was promoted to a director of the Special Criminal Intelligence Division. She also looks after Li Fin, who she not only trains in martial arts, but she also treats like her own daughter. With Shilu surrendered, she now runs kung fu classes and has become a well-loved member of the local community. Also, ever since Shilu's fall, Chun-Li has gained a more philosophical perspective and a more positive perspective on life, seeing as her father's death was avenged. She also lives in a calm but radiant manner now as well. Now, for a Street Fighter 6 story, she does have some stuff going on, but it's all like pre-Street Fighter 6, so before the main story of the game takes place. And this is where we get to talk about the comic series Street Fighter 6 Days of Eclipse that she is pretty involved in, so most of the info in this section of her history will be centered around that as well. Let's talk about her story in the comics. Upon learning that a new terrorist organization known as Amnesia has begun to target Ken and frame him for a crime that he did not commit, Chun-Li tries to find the evidence to clear his name. So in Chapter 1 of the Street Fighter 6 comics, Days of the Eclipse, an undercover Chun-Li and Sugimoto, I already know I butchered that, I am so sorry, follow Ken and Albert Jackson, who are on their way to a hotel. After Ken's car is attacked by a group of people wearing masks, Chun-Li and Sugimoto take Ken and the two drive off with the injured champion. In Chapter 2, Chun-Li asks Ken if he remembers his car being attacked, and when he asks about his friend Albert, she says that they couldn't get to him in time. She informs him that he needs to remain in their custody for his own safety. Ken asks why she is in a stall, and Chun-Li informs that she is still with Interpol, and that she's currently director of their Special Criminal Intelligence Division, who are investigating international financial crimes happening in Asia, and that Ken is being held as a material witness. After showing the video transmitted by Amnesia, Ken gets angry and shouts that he has nothing to do with this, but Chun-Li knocks him back and points a gun at him, telling him to calm down. She's aware that Ken is being framed and that they're currently looking for a way to prove his innocence. However, because the whole world saw the video, he wouldn't be safe, so he can't leave. Ken then asks what happened to Mel, and Chun-Li is shocked that his son is here. Ken begs that he needs to call his son, however, she leaves the room and makes a call, making Ken frustrated. She then calls Li Fin, who informs her that the video looks like a deepfake, and that with a full technical analysis, any expert could prove it at trial. She then adds that there are other strange anomalies besides the video, and Li Fin mentions the online betting related to the tournament. She then asks Li Fin for another favor to find Mel Masters, which annoys her for working way too hard, but Chun-Li promises to make it up once she gets back. However, she hears a sound and sees Sugimoto knocked out and notices that Ken escaped through the window. In Chapter 4, Li Fin is talking to Chun-Li and explains that the more she investigates JP, the more shady he gets, saying he moves from one corporation to another, never staying there for long, and that he's involved with the infrastructural projects of several countries. She also mentions that his name Johan must be a fake name, and that he also calls himself John Philippi. Li Fin explains that most of his projects seem legitimate, however, the moment he gets involved, things start going haywire, causing ethnic conflicts and civil wars. Chun-Li wonders if he's directly responsible, and Li Fin agrees that his hands are dirty. She reveals that she tried digging deeper, but it's getting a bit risky, and that everything about the businessman on the dark web was ghosted and someone tried to reverse hack Li Fin. Chun-Li asks her if it's too difficult to her, but Li Fin says she could try harder if there was something for her, and asks for a new Gimme Mouse and to eat a big juicy steak. The two end up leaving the room, and Chun-Li wonders if she can ever be normal, and Li Fin gets a bit upset hearing this. That's the last scene from her in the comics, but we'll go ahead and cover her arcade mode real quick as well. During her arcade mode, Chun-Li takes a sabbatical from Interpol, which is just a really long break from work, to teach Kung Fu in Metro City. She later encounters Jury trying to sneak up on her as they both engage in combat against each other. Jury warns Chun-Li that just because M. Bison is dead, that things aren't over yet. Chun-Li is curious for answers, but Jury invites Chun-Li to get the answers out of her by beating her. She wins, but Jury escapes without spilling any information to her. The workaholic Chun-Li is determined to uncover any evil lurking in the shadows. Alright, with her backstory and history out of the way, now it's time to look at her gameplay history. Now, those who are new or didn't watch the first Hall of Fame inductee video that I made earlier this year, that was Ryu. This section of the video I dive into a character's gameplay history and take a look and explain what changed between games. Also in this section I only cover main series games and no crossover games or guest appearances. On top of that, I also only cover the main and most played versions of each game. So for example, the Street Fighter 4 series I'll only cover Ultra Street Fighter 4, and for the Street Fighter 2 series I'll only cover Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Street Fighter 2 series was the first series, and Street Fighter 2 was the first game, actually, that Chun made a playable appearance. And this was actually the first time a woman's ever been in a fighting game, which is why she's dubbed the First Lady of Fighting Games. As the game evolved, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo was the game that's most competitively played, and by the time this game came around, Chun-Li sits comfortably around A tier and is known as a pretty good character in this game. Pretty good charge character as well. So, enough yapping, let's get right to it. So her special moves include Tensho Kyaku, which is her DP and is a charge, down then up plus kick input, with heavy version being her easiest to combo into off normals. As so. And then her second special move is Spinning Bird Kick, which is a charge back then forward kick motion. And each one has a different amount of distance traveled. For all three versions, it's invincible on startup for frames 1 through 17 for all three versions. And then she also has an air version of this kick as well, but it's a little bit more tricky to pull off since it's a charge motion. And yeah, it's kind of tricky to pull off. And even when you do land it, it has a weird animation in the air, as you can see. Kikoken is her fireball that is also a charge input, and the distance and speed depending on the strength of the punch button pushed, with light being the slowest but traveling the farthest, medium being an alright speed and travels a bit less, and then heavy being the fastest but traveling the least amount. Also, this fireball easily has the best startup frames for a fireball in the whole game. So the startup frames on this fireball are definitely the best out of any fireball in the game. And then for her super, she has Senretsu Kyaku, which is a super and is a huge flurry of kicks, and considered one of the best supers in the game, if not the best. It's also invincible on startup from frames 1 through 14. And also, since this move leads into a juggle, you can actually do her Tensho kicks after to get additional hits if your execution is good with her. Unlike mine. Yeah, my execution with her is not that great, so you might not get to see her super. Oh, there we go, finally got it. But yeah, that's her super, and it's one of the best supers in the game, if not the best, as it has a good amount of invincible frames, and it's just really fast and easy to combo after and combo into if, once again, your execution is good, unlike mine. Now, for normal buttons, we have her best poke and range normals being medium punch, crouching medium punch, light kick, and crouching medium kick. Her best jump in attacks are jumping light kick and jumping medium kick. And then her best anti-airs are heavy kick, close heavy kick, and medium kick. Now for command normals, she has quite a few. Rear spin kick is down forward medium kick or 3 medium kick if you use notation. And Chun does a simple kick that flips into the air. The move is pretty bad, to be honest. Actually, I recommend avoiding it at all cost, as it's bad and it's not really useful at all. And fun fact, it's so bad it was actually removed from the HD remix. Yeah, it's a really bad normal, not gonna lie. Neckbreaker is down forward heavy kick or 3 heavy kick input, and she flips over her opponent and causes a knockdown, like so. And this move is a very useful command normal, as it's very useful for cross-ups or making opponents block on wake-up, as it can avoid a lot of reversal attacks and also avoid tick throw setups, as she goes into the airborne state on frame 1. Head stomp is down medium kick while in the air, and Chun-Li stomps on the opponent's head, like that. And it can be used as almost an instant overhead too, if you have good execution. So as you can see, you can pretty much almost do it instantly, like the second you leave the ground, if you can get your execution down with her. Like that. So it can be used good for mix-up situations or getting a quick hit in if you think they're going to block low or they're just not really expecting it. And it also has trip guard, meaning that if you use it and someone tries to sweep or low tiger shot you, you'll either beat it or land in a blocking state. Chun-Li will always have this going forward, I'm just letting you know right now, but she also has wall jump, which she'll have for every single game she's in for the most part, and is useful for getting out of the corner and avoiding certain situations, and you can attack after the wall jump or even cancel it with her air spinning bird kick if you have the execution for it. Which I probably don't. Yeah, there you go. So that's an example of just straight up fainting it out. So in that situation, you can go for the wall jump, but cancel it to bait out an anti-air or bait out a shuriken or something, and keep the spacing going as well. So that's a good technique to use with wall jump. You can bait out anti-airs like that, because if they see you doing that, they might assume you'll jump and do anti-air, but then you don't jump and you just do the air spinning bird kick like that, and you can cancel out really easy bait out stuff. Hi, so Eddie and Tyler here. I completely forgot to show this special move in the Street Fighter 2 section. That's my mistake. I'm sorry, my G's. But I forgot to mention she also has this special move, which is her classic lightning kicks. It's literally just mashing the button. And as you can see, it's a pretty good special for damage or pressure. Yeah, that's why it's just kind of thrown in at the end of the section, because I forgot to record it. Alright, moving on to the next gameplay section. Now, in the Street Fighter Alpha series, by the final version of the game, so Street Fighter Alpha 3, Chun-Li went through a lot of changes. I know in Street Fighter Alpha 1 she was pretty good, and Street Fighter Alpha 2 she was good, but Street Fighter Alpha 3 she got nerfed a lot, and by the time Street Fighter Alpha 3 came out, she sits around C tier on most tier lists. So she's pretty meh, especially compared to the previous versions of her Alpha appearances and Street Fighter 2. Now, she has the second fastest walk speed in the game, so that's one bonus. She does have a pretty fast walk speed, as you can see, which is useful in a game without dashing. She has some pretty impressive normals in neutral with great lows, and she's honestly deceptively short and can actually walk under many special moves in normals. Now, for special moves, she has lightning kicks in their back, and they're still the same mashing K button command, so just like this, she still has lightning kicks. Kikoken is back as her fireball as well, but is no longer a charge input, a half circle forward punch, or 41236P input, and the distance and speed depends on the punch button used, just like in Street Fighter Alpha 2. Although I will say, this is not a very good move. It's not very good in this at all, as it's not as strong as it was in Alpha 1 and Alpha 2, and not even nearly as strong as Street Fighter 2, as it's unsafe even on a hit, especially close, as you can get easily punished for free even after getting a hit. As you can see, they recover way before she does, so if you try to do this up close, yeah, you're kind of cooked, not gonna lie. And this move is available in A-ism and V-ism only. Tensho Kyaku, or Tensho Kicks, aka her DP adjacent move, is back and once again is a combo tool, as it knocks down and does decent damage. And once again, it's an anti-air special move, and it's the same input being down, up, kick, or charge down, up, kick. But even though it's an anti-air, it's not as good as some of the others in the game due to be a charge motion and can lose to regular jumping attacks as well. Although the light version does have some invincibility frames to it, so it can be used to beat meaties pretty easily. And this move is also available in A-ism and V-ism only, but it is also in X-ism, but only if it's used as a reversal. For her final returning special move, Spinning Bird Kick is back and still has invincibility on startup and still acts very similar to the way it did in Street Fighter 2. Although this time you can actually combo off of it, as it leads the opponent in a juggle state. Yeah, as you can see, you can combo off it as it leads them in juggle state. Now, the combos can probably depend on spacing and all that. It can be a little bit tricky to combo off of, but yeah, you can still combo off of it. And this move is available in X-ism only. And then with Street Fighter Alpha 3, she actually has two new special moves, being Palm Strike and Hasanshu. or Shinin. I butchered that, but that's what it's technically called, but you might as well just say it's Hasanshu. So Palm Strike is a charge move, and it's charge back then forward plus punch, which is this. And it sends them flying to create some space. You can combo into it pretty easily. If you got the charge ready, as you can see, you can combo into it and get some get a quick amount of damage in. And like I said, you can send them flying as well, so it's useful for that. And this move is only available in Xism. And then Sen-Enshu or Hasanshu is an axe kick like move, and the input is half circle back kick. And the kick button determines the distance traveled, with light being the shortest amount, medium being a bit of amount, and heavy being the furthest. It's the only grounded overhead and can avoid projectiles, but as they pass right by it. But it was nerfed from Street Fighter Alpha 2, and as of by Street Fighter Alpha 3, it's pretty slow and reactable. As you can see, if you're going against a player that knows what they're doing, this is a pretty reactable. If they see it, they can probably react to it pretty quickly. It is at least safe on block, but once again, it is still pretty slow, so not insanely useful. This is available in AISM and VISM mode only. Now for her supers, her super from Street Fighter 2 comes back, and it's still a really good super, like a really good super, as it's fast, a good anti-poke, and combo tool. It's just a really, really good super. And it's available in AISM only. And it's safe at all levels and can be followed up to continue the combo in corner, depending on the ism. But along with this, she also has two completely new supers, being Kokosho and Hasan Tensho Kyaku. Kokosho is a new super that she has, and it's a super version of her Fireball, and the input is quarter circle forward punch. It does a really good amount of damage if you can land it. Like so, as you can see, it does a really good amount of damage, and even at level 1, it can also be used as anti-air tool, which is very useful. But this is available in AISM only. And then her second new super is Hasan Tensho Kyaku, which is a super version of her upkick / DP move, but it's less practical because of the execution, as the input is down back charge, down forward, down back, up forward plus kick. So it can be kind of tricky to do, as you can accidentally do her other super. There we go, we got it. That was level 1. As you can see, it can be a little bit tricky to do, but if the charge input and execution is an issue, you can use it well in certain situations, as it is an anti-air super, but is only available in AISM. And that's what the level 3 looks like. It can be used as a good anti-air way to punish something if you can get the execution, and it does a really good amount of damage. Now for her normals, crouching medium punk is no longer a strong poking option as it was in Street Fighter 2, and her heavy kick is no longer an anti-air button, but as you can see, it's more of a straightforward button rather than an angle. And the crouching medium punch just doesn't go as far as it did in Street Fighter 2. Now for her best pokes and range options, we have light kick, heavy kick, crouching medium kick, crouching heavy kick, and crouching heavy punch. So even though she's not super good in this game, she does have a lot of good poking options. As you can see, she has some pretty good range. Her best jump ends are jump light kick and jump medium kick. Her best anti-air buttons are medium kick and close heavy kick. Now for command normals, all 3 command normals from Street Fighter 2 return, being flip kick, which is this, the really bad one, neck breaker, and head stomp, which once again, if your execution is right, you can use as an instant overhead, as long as wall jump. And then talking about her isms, A-ism is great for beginners who don't want to sink a lot of time into learning her difficult V-ism combos, and also has good supers and good neutral. V-ism is her best ism in Alpha 3, as it allows for more impressive setups and lets her run her gameplay in more efficiency. And then X-ism gives her access to spinning ring kick, which is good for chip damage and pressure, but is dangerous against V-ism characters. She also loses her fireball and gains her palm strike special, which is okay for combos or just get in space. Alright, now going from Chun-Li being pretty meh to being like the best character in the game, we have Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Chun-Li in this game is S tier and is widely considered by many pros and players the best character in the game with hardly any weaknesses and no real losing matchups. She's the best pokes in the whole game, along with the best Kara throw setups, and some of the best mobility she's had up to now as well, as they added dashes in, and as you can see, she's pretty fast. Now, for special moves, let's look at her specials. Kikoken returns and is very similar to the way it has always been, and it's definitely a lot better than it was in Street Fighter Alpha 3. Like, just much better. As you can see, it's much faster, and it's actually, you can actually block after doing it. Unlike Street Fighter Alpha 3, which was so stupid you couldn't in that. But yeah, here you actually plus frames after landing it, so you can actually block now. And then, like always, the strength of the put and push determines the distance and speed. And then EX Kikoken travels full screen, but is very slow. If I can do it, I suck at EX moves in this game. I'm not going to front. Like, I'm terrible. Okay. So it is very, very slow, but it travels full screen, and you can potentially dash in after it for mix-up or pressure. So, let's say you got it. Try going for a throw mix, or get it, going for a low. You can use it for mix-up. Lightning kicks are back, and very similar to the way they've always been, and useful for corner pressure or trapping opponents in the corner, as well as it's just a really good pressure tool with nice frame data. And EX version sends the opponent back, creating some space. Yeah, it creates pretty good space as it sends them flying almost full screen, it seems like. And then Spinning Bird Kick is back, but with some changes. So the first change is her input went from being charged back plus forward to forward plus kick to charge down and up plus kick. As you can see, it is now charged down then up plus kick. Also, this time around the move doesn't cause knockdown and leaves the opponent standing after a hit instead. So it doesn't cause knockdown, doesn't cause a juggle, it's just kind of leaves them standing. And then EX version is a great reversal option for when on defense and not only causes knockdown, but creates space as the opponent goes flying. Like, absolutely flying. So EX Spinning Bird Kick is a pretty good option when on neutral. Or, on defense. And then Hasanshu is back as well, but is still slow, just not as slow as it was in Street Fighter Alpha 3. And it's still safe, but it's still a high-risk, low-reward move, in all honesty. It definitely is better than it was in the Alpha series, as you can see, or at least Alpha 3. But it's still not super great. I mean, it can be useful for avoiding projectiles or lows. But for the most part, it's just okay. And then EX version is even slower, but it causes knockdown, leading to Oki. As you can see, it's just immediate hard knockdown, so you can use it for Oki or mix up on wake up. Like I said, they get up, just immediately throw, or they get up, they're expecting a low, go for her instant overhead. Like, it just leads to Oki. Now on to supers. Kokoksho returns and is still a decent super that acts as an anti-air and reversal just like Street Fighter Alpha 3. So as you can see, it still does a good amount of damage. It can still be an anti-air and you can still combo into it. And then her lightning kick super that she's had since Street Fighter 2 Turbo, since Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, also returns as well, and it's still a very, very good super. Very good super, very easy to combo into because it is no longer a charge input super. So it's always been charge back, forward kick, but now it's just two half circle forward motions or 236, 236 kick. So it is much easier to combo into or just throw out meaty. For countering, anti-poking, anti-zoning, it's a very, very good super and very easy to combo into. And you can actually super jump after the fact, unlike me. But the final hit you can actually super jump cancel as well to continue the combo since it's a huge launcher. Alright, and then her third and final super is actually a brand new super as well. And it's called Tensai Renka. and it's pretty much a super Hisanshu. So it can be used as both an anti-air or overhead super. As you can see, it's just super Hisanshu. But just landing the overhead alone is pretty tricky, as it's the final hit on the super. And overall, the super's not that great anyways. To be honest, she's a really, really strong character, but this super is just not good. It's really just not great. The damage isn't there. The hitbox is very small. Very small. As you can see, even just like at normal spacing like this, it's still kind of tricky to land, and it's just not really worth it at all. Now onto her normals. Changes for her normals include light kick is now a very stubby normal. As you can see, it's no longer really a poke at all. It's a very, very stubby normal. And 8 heavy kick actually lost its range, along with crouching heavy punch and crouching medium kick. Now, crouching heavy punch, you do move forward a bit now, which is kind of cool, but for the most part, a lot of her moves kind of lost their range. Also, some other changes are pretty much all her jump in normals have different animations, along with her jump light kick and jump medium kick not being as strong as they were in other games, as instead of landing at an angle, they now land straight forward. So as you can see, pretty much all her jump ins are completely different animations now, or just have different properties in general. Her best poke and range normals are heavy punch, a very, very nice strong poke, and crouching medium kick. As you can use it as a poke, I mean it's not the best, but you can still use it as a poke. And crouching medium punch, as it's probably her best crouching poke in all honesty. Her best jumping normals are jumping heavy kick and jumping heavy punch. And then her anti-air normal, her really only real true anti-air normal is medium kick, standing medium kick. Now for command normals, she has 7 command normals in total, with 5 of them being completely new. Yeah, you heard that right, she has 5 completely new command normals. So we're going to talk about her returning ones first. For our 2 returning command normals, we have her head stomp, which is still jump to MK or jump then down to MK. And once again, you can use that as an instant overhead for mix-ups. And her other command normal that returns is her flip kick, which is now called sidestep leap kick. Now it functions a little bit differently, as it doesn't really cause knockdown or juggle, so it's definitely tweaked, and it now just leaves them standing, so it's much more for punishing and to get a side switch in that is safe on both hit, and it is safe on both hit and block. Her 5 new command normals are backhand slaps, double palm strike, stepping kick, kakushu raku kyaku, I butchered that, and yokusen kyaku. Backhand slaps is a 2-hit normal that is back medium punch. That, as you can see, leaves in a weird kind of stun almost. And it is both super cancelable and special cancelable on the first hit. And it's the only grounded normal that can be cancelled into heavy spinning bird kick. Double palm strike is a very strong normal and one of her best buttons. It's back HP and it can be used for stopping approaches, countering, and is an anti-air if the jumping arc lands right in front of her. And it can also be super cancelled if you got the execution like that. Stepping kick is an approaching move that leaves Chun 0 on block and is for medium kick. It's slow in startup, but it can be used as a useful poke. So even though a lot of her normals lost their range a bit, this can make up for it a bit. Now it's not super cancelable or special cancelable, but it can still be a decent poke. Kakashu Raku Kyaku is a 3-hitting normal and is done by holding MK when doing close MK. Now with some crouching opponents, but it is a 3-hitting normal, as you can see. It's not super useful, but I guess it's something. Yokusen Kyaku is the same as her heavy kick, but she now leaps forward a bit and can be used to avoid and punish long-reaching lows as well. So as you can see, it does leap forward a bit and it can be used to avoid lows. And in this game, she was actually given one command combo. And that command combo is jump, heavy punch, heavy punch. So it's jump, heavy punch, and it pops them in the air for a bit. That actually helps with resets. And like always, wall jump is back as well. So going from being the best character in the game in S tier, she goes back to kind of being meh or decent in the right hands. And Chun-Li in Ultra Street Fighter 4 usually sits around B or C tier, so meh, or if they're in good hands, good or decent. And then she's well-rounded and good at space control. So for specials, Kendoken comes back. It's the way it's pretty much always been, except now it's back to being a charge input rather than half circle forward input. And EX is much faster than it was in Third Strike, and it now causes knockdown. Lightning kicks are pretty much the same, with the only notable difference being the EX version now launches instead of sending them flying back. So, like that. It now launches instead of just sending them flying for space control. Hasunju is pretty much the same as it was in Third Strike. Not really much different at all. Same thing with the EX version, once again causing immediate hard knockdown. Spinning bird kick returns, and it's pretty similar. The only difference is medium is the only one that causes them to still stay standing, as both light version and heavy version causes knockdown now. And once again, EX version is pretty much the same, as it causes them just go flying backwards. And every version of this move is armor breaking. Her super is the same super she's had since the Street Fighter 2 series, and it's still a really good super, as it's invincible in certain frames. It can be used for anti-zoning, anti-poking, a whiff punishing tool, combo tool. Just, it's a very quick, fast, really good super. Now for Ultra combos, her Ultra 1 is actually new and replaces her Super Hasunchu from Street Fighter 3. It's called Hosenka, and it's very similar to a super combo, with it just doing different animations at the end and doing more damage. So, this is her Ultra 1. As you can see, it does more damage and just has a different ending animation, but it's pretty similar to her super. Ultra 2 is Kokosho returning from the Third Strike, and returning from Third Strike and Alpha, just amped up to be more of an Ultra rather than a super. And it is great for ending combos as well if you have the Ultra ready. As you can see, it can be a pretty good combo tool. For her normals, changes include Light Kick is now back to being a poke option instead of the steady move it was in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Heavy Kick got its range back and is now back to being a really, really good anti-air tool and just really good range in general. As you can see, this is really, really good range. And Medium Punk is back to being the way it was back before Third Strike. So pretty much just got its range back and is now back to being a good poking tool. And then Jumping Light Kick is actually the same way it was previous to Third Strike, being very similar to the way it was in Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha. So her best poking and range normals are Light Kick, Medium Punch, Heavy Punch, and Crouching Medium Punch. Her best jump in normals are Jumping in Light Kick, Jumping Heavy Kick, and Jumping Heavy Punch. Oh yeah, her Jumping Heavy Kick is also very different now, as well as it's a completely different animation. I forgot to say that. And then her best anti-air normals are Medium Kick and Heavy Kick. For command normals, she has 5 in total, with 3 of them returning. She has Flip Kick, Stepping Kick, and once again, Head Stomp, which all are returning, and function pretty similar to the way they were in Third Strike. Her 2 new command normals are Rear Spin Kick and Kenti Kishu. I am so sorry, I'm butchering that, I already know I am. Rear Spin Kick is down forward light kick or 3 light kick, and can be used as an anti-air, but overall it's not very great, and it's a very niche anti-air. It's actually pretty similar to the Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha. that one command normal from those games. Just now, it doesn't even have the mid kick followed by the flip. It's just a straight flip, and it's just not great at all. And then Kinti Kishu can be a good poke in his back medium kick or forward medium kick. As you can see, it can be a good poke, and it actually leads into a command combo. So it's not special cancelable, but you can hit confirm it, leading into a nice combo. For command combos, Chun-Li has a total of 2 command combos in this, with 1 new and 1 returning. Her returning one is jump, heavy punch, just like from Third Strike. Functions pretty similarly as well. It can be used as a good jump-in tool. And then her new command combo is back medium kick, down up medium kick. With the first hit being her new command normal poke, second hit being a launcher, and the final input being her DP kicks from Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha series, just being a part of this combo now. As you can see. And as you can see, it's actually pretty good. It's actually a pretty good command combo. If you know what you're doing, you can get some nice damage out of it. Yeah, as you can see, you can use it as a really good combo tool and get some good damage out of it. And like always, her famous wall jump is back. Now with Street Fighter 5, Chun-Li is definitely a bit better than she was in Street Fighter 4. As in most tier lists, she seems to be around A tier. Now, it was a little bit tricky, kind of pinpointing where she is on the tier list. As when researching for this video, I saw a lot of different placements for her. But from what I could tell, she's usually around A tier. And like always, she has great movement, and she has really fast walk speed, being the second fastest walk speed in the game. On the specials, Kagoken is back like always, and is very similar to the way it's always been. Maybe a little bit slower than what it used to be, but still pretty similar to the way it's been. And now, though, EX version actually does not cause knockdown. So, that's new. But yeah, EX version just completely does not do knockdown now. Sparing Bird Kick is back and similar as well, except now every version causes knockdown. So as you can see, that was medium, and like always, light. And like in Street Fighter 4, light causes knockdown along with heavy. But yeah, medium version also causes knockdown now, so every version causes knockdown. And lightning kicks is back, except now you have 2 options to input it. You can still mash the kicks like so, or you can do it as quarter circle forward kick or 2-3-6 kick if you use notation, which is great for combos and just so much easier to pull off as well. Much easier to pull off, as you can see, just much easier to pull off. Now her super is just 1, just like everyone else in Street Fighter 5, she only got 1 super. And her super is pretty much her Ultra 1 from the Street Fighter 4 series, with just new cinematics. And the input now is completely different, as it is now core circle forward kick, rather than being a charge super. Now onto the V skills. V skill 1 is Ran Kyaku, which can be used for movement, reversal, or for combos. Pretty much this move is Chun-Li launches herself in the air, and if you hit the opponent, you can do air combo or follow up by just doing the V skill again. So a quick example is here's a combo with the V skill button again with the normal ender, or just a makeshift air combo. And then V skill 2 is actually a returning special move just now as a V skill rather than a special move. And it functions similar to the way it always has, except now it's very, very easy to combo off of. And that special move is Hasanshu. So there's only really 2 options for Hasanshu. There's neutral Hasanshu, which travels a bit, and back Hasanshu, which travels the least amount. And like I said, it's actually pretty easy to combo off of now. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to combo off of now, and honestly, this is usually one of my bread and butters when good for Chun-Li. It can be a bit tricky to land, but Hasanshu you can pretty much combo off of now pretty easily, as long as you use lights, because lights are probably her easiest way to combo off of it. Or if you have tree trigger, you can also use V trigger as well. So there's a combo with V trigger. It's just much easier to combo off of. speaking of V triggers, V trigger 1 is Ring Kick. I am so sorry. I've been butchering these names the whole time. Ring Kiko? It's one of those. And it's a very strong V trigger for Chun-Li. It's probably her better one out of the two, as it improves her damage, combos, frame traps, pressures, just pretty much everything in general. And it just buffs her like crazy for a short time. So as you can see, here's her normal. Normally, oh, one hit, okay. Do V trigger, does extra hits. So pretty much you get more damage, you get more frame advantage on block, you get more hit stun for easier combos as well. And it's good to throw in the middle combos. Like so. So as you can see, it's just much easier to throw out in the middle combos, and it helps extend combos with V trigger cancel, or even on block, you get way more frame advantage as well because of the extra hits. And V trigger 2 is Kikosho, which is a move now instead of a super, like it's been since the Alpha series. And so because of that, it's nerfed, because obviously it's no longer a super or ultra, but it still functions pretty similarly. It's a quick kind of big projectile that can be used as an anti-air or a combo tool as well. It's just nerfed is all to make it a little bit, well, smaller scale, I guess you can say. Now for normals. For changes, we have medium punch, which is no longer a poke and is shorter in range. As you can see, they really nerfed the range on it, as it is now more of a stubby button rather than a poke, but we'll talk about that later. Light kick and medium kick pretty much switched, as light kick is now an anti-air and medium kick is now the poke, as opposed to this being her light kick in Street Fighter 4 and this being her similar to her medium kick in Street Fighter 4. Yeah, they switched, as this is now light kick, this is no medium kick. And crouching medium punch is now a sliding attack and advancing as well. As you can see, it's an advancing attack and sliding attack, which is very different to the way it was in Street Fighter 4. Jump in medium punch is now an angled attack meant to check jump ins. As you can see, it's now no longer at a down angle, and now it's at an up angle, meant to, well, check jump ins. Jump in light kick is also much different now, as it's no longer at an angle, and once again, kind of meant to check jump ins. It's honestly a really weird animation. It's her old neutral light kick, jump light kick, and now they just put it for her every version of her jumping light kick. It's a weird button, not gonna lie. And then her jump in medium punch jump in heavy punch is now her command combo. So you no longer have to do heavy punch, and it just now automatically comes out if you time it correctly. Her best poke and range options are heavy punch, medium kick, crouching medium punch. Her best jump in normals are jumping heavy punch and jumping heavy kick. And best anti-air normals are light kick and heavy kick. For command normals, she has 7 in total, with 4 of them returning and 2 of them being from third strike. Her term returning from every previous game are her classic side switch kick move, and it's actually really easy to combo off of now. Like, very easy to combo off of. Like, it's kind of crazy how easy it is to combo off of now, in all honesty, since it's always been a pretty good, like, cross-up tool. It's just very easy to combo off now. And her classic head stomp switch, once again, can be used as an instant overhead. And then her 2 command normals returning from third strike are her back HP, so her double palm strike. This returns, and you can pretty much special cancel off of it very, very easily now. As you can see, that was a very basic bread and butter off of just that one move for a really good amount of damage. It's a very useful normal, just like it was in third strike. And her advancing heavy kick move, so forward heavy kick. So as you can see, that returns from third strike as well, being able to dodge lows and working very similar to the way it did in third strike. Now for her 3 new ones, she has I'm just going to put it on screen. There you go. Senenshu and Tenku Kyaku. So the first one, which I'm not even going to try to announce, maybe Tsuito Tsuken. I already know I butchered that. It's pretty much a poke command normal done by either back medium punch or forward medium punch. Like, so pretty much, as long as it's not neutral medium punch, you'll get it, and it's pretty much a poke. Sininshu is actually her OG version of Hasunchu from the Street Fighter Alpha series. So it's now just a command normal instead of a special. So as you can see, she does the same animations, or at least similar animation to what she did in Alpha. Tinku Kyaku is just her close heavy kick from both Street Fighter 2 and the Alpha series, just now as a command normal, and like back then, it's still a nice anti-air, and it is back heavy kick. So, as you can see, that's her old school close heavy kick, except now you can do it wherever on the screen. And, like always, she has her wall jump. Now with Street Fighter 6, Chun-Li kind of goes down a tier, as she is usually seen around B tier by most pros and most tier lists in this game, but she's still pretty good. She's a very varied and variety moveset tool, along with having a new stance, which is really nice, and she's a very fast character, like usually. Although one downside is she misses a throw loop in a game that's very, very throw loop dependent, as throw loops are very strong in this game. Now, for special moves, Kokoken is back, and it's pretty much the same exact way it was in Street Fighter 5. Lightning Kicks is back, and pretty much the same, except now you can no longer match the kick button to do it, and you now have to do the core circle forward kick input to do it. But also now, heavy version causes knockdown, and is the only version that causes knockdown. And EX version can actually be followed up by pushing 2 kicks. So, for example, here's normal EX version, but if you do it and then push 2 kicks after the fact, you do a quick little combo. So, and it only costs the same amount of bar as well. And then Spinning Bird Kick is back as well. As you can see, it's back with every version causing knockdown, but now EX version can actually be comboed after, as it launches up for a split second. So, as you can see, you can get a quick little combo with the EX version of it. And also with the EX version, Chun-Li actually moves forwards now with it, instead of staying in place. Hasunju returns as a special since the V system is not in Street Fighter 6, and EX version now causes the bounce, allowing for follow-up. So Hasunju is back and kind of works the way it always has. But now EX version, you can actually combo off of, as it causes a bounce, as you can see. So you can get a nice little combo with the EX version of it. And once again, Tensho Kicks return as well, which is a really good combo ender and anti-air tool. So you might have saw I was using it. And yeah, it's back since the V system is not here, and it is once again a special move. And can be used very easily to end combos like you saw. So for example, it's just a really, really nice combo ender tool. And the command now is now down down instead of down then charge up kick, as that's the finger kick. It is now just down 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 kick. And then, although not considered a special move by the game, I'm going to consider it a special move, so I'm going to just include it in here. Chun-Li now has a stance change move, which is called Serenity Stream, and it's just pretty much a completely new stance. So Chun-Li's kind of a mini stance character in Street Fighter 6, which is very unique for the character, as she's never really had anything like this before. So in Serenity Stream stance, you can do multiple follow-ups, with LP being a quick strike called Orchid Bomb. And then Light Punch is Snake Strike, which is actually her crouching medium punch from Street Fighter 5, except now it causes knockdown, as you can see. So if you really want to get some mix in, like let's say you go for a high real quick, do that. As you can see, you can get some mix in with it. And then Heavy Punch is Lotus Fist, which is a 2-hitting overhead. Light Kick is Forward Strike, and it's a really, really low, quick kick for mix. So as you can see, it can be used for mix-up. Like, let's say they're about to do something, or they're blocking high, just hurry and throw this out. Boom, really quick, really easy. Medium Kick is Senpu Kick, and it's a low kick with long reach, and it's actually her third strike sweep animation. So yeah, you might recognize it, and it's pretty much because it's her sweep from third strike just turned into a special move. And you can combo off of it pretty easily as long as you have EX ready. And then heavy kick is Tinku kick, which is a launcher. And it's just a really good launcher as well. Very easy to get into if you know what you're doing, if you have good execution. Can lead in some really nice combos. And it's a very nice launcher. Now let's talk about supers. Unlike Street Fighter V, every character in this has 3 supers, just like in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And thank God for that, because I get they only gave every character 1 super in Street Fighter V because of the V-trigger system and V-skill system. But having 3 supers is just so nice and opens up so many options. But her level 1 is Kokosho and can be done in the air now as well. So here's the ground version. And here's the air version. And it's a great way to end combos. And then level 2 is her classic kick super. And she actually ends with a launcher like in Third Strike. And it's much easier to do air combo follow-ups as it's much easier to jump cancel. Because unlike Third Strike, you don't really have to super jump cancel. You can just regular jump cancel. So as you can see, it's much easier to combo after since you don't have to super jump cancel. And you can just normal jump cancel. And then level 3 is Soten Ranka, which is a completely new cinematic super for this character. And the first hit is actually very, very quick. So as you can see, that very first hit to lead into the super was just insanely quick. And it's a very nice damaging super that can be comboed into as well. Now under normals, her changes for her normals is light kick is now a short range quick kick instead of an anti-air. As you can see, it's a really short range kick, kind of stubby like it was in Third Strike. Medium kick is back to being an anti-air move prior to Street Fighter V. Very different animation than what it's ever been, but still anti-air. Crouching heavy kick, aka sweep, now moves actually a little bit forward. So it's the same animation that it's been for a long time, but she actually moves forward a bit now, and it makes it a pretty good poking option as well because of that. Crouching medium punch is now completely different, as it's no longer a sliding move since I got replaced to this. It is now just a regular crouching medium punch. Crouching heavy punch is a new animation and also moves her forward a bit. So it's usually that double hand slap, and it still is a double hand slap, just a completely different animation. That can be special canceled. And then for her jump in attacks, her jumping medium punch is a 2-hitting move now. Jump in heavy punch is no longer really a good jump in tool as she punches straight forward instead of downwards. And jump in heavy kick is actually the way it was in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. It's actually pretty much the same exact animation. For her best poking and range normal, she has heavy punch, which also moved forward a bit now. Crouching medium kick. Her best jump in normal is jumping heavy kick. And her best anti-air normals are medium kick, heavy kick, and crouching heavy punch. Now for command normals, she has 6 in total with only 1 new one. So Swift Thrust, which is her command normal from Street Fighter V, so she sadly still has the really stubby medium punch, but she still has this. I mean, it's a different animation, but it pretty much functions the same as a poke. Along with her double palm strike, her forward heavy kick, which jumps over stuff, her head stomp, which once again can be used as an instant overhead in mix-up situations, and her flip kick, which is still pretty easy to combo off of, as you can see. And then her one new command normal is Water Lotus Wrist, which is an overhead normal and is down forward heavy punch. So as you can see, it's an overhead, and it's a pretty decent overhead. It's a little bit slow, but it can still be a good overhead. I've actually landed it more times than I thought I would have online. And then for command combos, she only has one, which is still jump heavy punch, jump heavy punch. And it also kind of immediately ends whatever combo you're doing, as they kind of go flying back a bit, as you can see. So it doesn't pop up like in Third Strike. Oh, right. I almost forgot to say, she does have another command combo. I just never talked about it before. because it's always been a little bit tricky to land, but in this it's much easier. Her head stomp has always had a command combo linked to it, and it's just much easier to pull off in this than it ever has been before. And it's just down medium kick, down medium kick, down medium kick. So just 3 head stomps in a row, pretty much. And it leads to knockdown. And like always, wall jump is back. So that's Chun-Li's gameplay history from all her main series games. Oh, well, not all of them, but you know what I mean. Just the main / most played version of each game, since she's been in a lot of games. And I can't cover every single one, because not only has she been in a lot of Street Fighter games, she's been in a lot of crossover games, she's been even a guest character in quite a few games, which I'll cover in this next section. It was nice seeing the evolution of her gameplay, because honestly before this video I've never really been a Chun-Li player. I mean, I love her as a character, don't get me wrong, she's one of my favorite Street Fighter characters. I absolutely love her lore, I love her character, love her personality and design, I absolutely love Chun-Li. But yeah, I've never really mained her or got around to playing her before this video. Besides maybe Street Fighter 5 for a scrapped video years ago. It was nice seeing how her gameplay has evolved, and also interesting to see that tier wise she's kind of been all over the place, with being insanely strong top 5 in some games, and then mid in other games, or even maybe considered low tier by some players in other games. We're not done yet though, we still have to cover her legacy and media appearances real quick, as she's been in a ton of games and been referenced a lot in media as well. Now we have the obvious, like the MVC series or CVS series, but she's been in a lot more than just that, proving her legacy as not only a fighting game character, but a character in general. So some examples of games that she's appeared in are, she was a guest in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid alongside Ryu. She's going to be a guest in the upcoming Fatal Fury City of the Wolves game. Although by the time that this video gets posted, the game's probably already out, but Chun-Li's not scheduled for it until later in the Season 1 pass. She was in both Project Cross Zone 1 and 2, which is a RPG on the 3DS family of systems that included Bandai Namco, Capcom, and Sega characters, along with some Nintendo characters as well. She was a skin in Fortnite alongside Ryu, Cammy, Guile, Sakura, and Blanca for a Street Fighter collab. And she was also a DLC skin in the game Little Big Planet. And then for media appearances, she appeared in Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is Wreck-It Ralph 2. She was referenced in the Amazing World of Gumball during a Street Fighter section, where Gumball did her winning taunt. And in the show American Dad, the character Akito Yoshida wears her costume during Halloween. Chun-Li's legacy is undeniable as a character in both fighting games and gaming as a whole. Like I said at the beginning of the video, even some people who aren't into gaming know who Chun-Li is, or can at least recognize her, and that just proves her legacy status, and also proves why she deserves to be in this Hall of Fame. Not only is she one of the most iconic fighting game characters of all time, being the first lady of fighting games, but also one of the most iconic characters in gaming in general, along with being one of the most recognizable. And that's it for today, my G's, and if you made it this far into the video, I just want to say first of all, I hope you enjoyed it, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch it. And also make sure to like, as that truly helps put this video out to more people. And make sure to subscribe to not miss any more Hall of Fame inductee videos or any other fighting game content I make as well. Also, while you're at it, if you're still here, give my Twitch a follow as well, as I stream fighting games and horror games every week on there, along with throwing in some Marvel Rivals now and then. So if you like those type of games and decide to check out my Twitch and you like what you see, and if you check out my trailer and like the vibe, I definitely appreciate a follow. Also, I will be starting to post hints on Twitter of these Hall of Fame induction videos a few days or maybe a week before I upload. So if you want to follow my Twitter, I know it's called X, but I will never stop calling it Twitter because X is a stupid name. But if you want to follow my Twitter and keep up with the hints and try to guess who it is, feel free. And once again, I would truly appreciate it. With all that being said, that's it for today, MGs, and I really hope you enjoyed and maybe even learned something new about this legendary character. Until next time, keep being a G.